Conversations, Real Talk and Realty. I am your co-host, Marla Lewis, and I have with me two very special and beautiful young ladies. I've got Lisa Brown White. Hey, Lisa.
Good morning, beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am lovely, girl.
All
lovely.
right. Wonderful. So then we have the wonderful Kimberly Dixon Dudley, our other co-host.
Hey.
What's going on? What's cracking?
I'm excited about this show on the Red Door Conversations couch.
I am as well.
I'm excited about
You
the
did a little
guests.
something different this morning, huh?
We did.
No, I'm saying you did. You came in with that purple on.
Oh, yeah.
That's another. It's green and then purple. Yes.
It's a color. It's a colorful season.
Yes.
Get ready for a colorful season.
All
Yes.
right, now we're ready. So, ladies, I'm excited too, Lisa. I have to say, because even with so much experience in real estate, we all know that there's so many different facets of it.
Absolutely.
And so you have, people that ask you about, say, property management, or you have someone ask you about development, or you have somebody
Timeshares.
Yes, it's
Multifamily.
so much
Yes.
to real estate. And so I'm excited today too, because we're going to be talking about Airbnb. And we have an expert with us. So I'm ready for that. What have you guys been hearing about Airbnb? Has anyone been asking you about it? Any clients?
Ooh, it is.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm excited about this show because I've heard positives and, in full transparency, I've heard some negatives as well. So we want to get the real deal today. What's the up and up on Airbnb? Like I said, I've heard both sides of it. So I know that our expert guest today is going to give us the deets, as the young kids say.
With you being in development too, have you thought about Airbnb maybe?
Well, I haven't necessarily thought about it personally, but I'm aware of developments that are created specifically for
That's it.
Airbnb properties.
What?
Yeah. And that's happened because HOAs are so rigid about short-term leases.
That is
Most
correct.
HOAs, right? And so now, if there's a whole community of just this is intended for Airbnb investments, I think it opens up a whole new space of development. It really does.
It really does. And I'm actually good with what you just stated. Where the problem comes in is that where you have the master plan communities where people are actually living every day in their homes, and then you have
short-term leases.
There you go. That's where the challenge.
And I think that's where the uncomfortableness comes from for people. For most people, they don't want people there for a day or two. If that's your primary home,
correct.
You know, your neighbor has somebody coming in and out. So I think
Somebody different.
Yeah. I think
The
when it's
uncertainty
a
of it.
community that's just for Airbnb, you don't have that. You know exactly who your neighbors are going to be.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to see the changes, what's new, what's legal and what's not legal.
Absolutely. So guess what? Stay tuned, because we have an expert to give us all of the ins and outs of Airbnb. Stay tuned to Red Door Conversations, Real Talk and Realty.
My grandmother used to say, your name enters a room before you do. My name is Kim Dixon Dudley. I'm a wife, real estate broker, residential developer, and City of Houston Minority Women Business Enterprise. I lead and manage an exceptional group of realtors at Kimberly Lane Properties. And here we do three things very well. We help Texas sellers sell their property at the best price possible with the least amount of stress. 2, we help buyers connect with lenders, insurance agents, inspectors, and all of the parties who make the magic of homeownership happen. And 3, we help Texas renters find their not-so-forever home. So if you are one of those folks, please give us a call at 713-357-1616 or look us up at KimberlyLaneProperties.com.
Welcome back to Red Door Conversations, Real Talk and Realty. We are here and we're excited to bring you information about Airbnb. It's something that a lot of people have been wondering about. Should I purchase one? What should I do? And many of you have stayed in an Airbnb. So we have somebody, ladies, today, a professional that can break it down for us. So we want to know.
She's the real deal.
Yes, she is the real deal. A real estate professional, has been in the business 30 years.
Wow.
And guess what? She's ready to tell us all about it. So, who do we have behind the red door?
Come on in.
Yes.
Hey.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So welcome, Miss Chandra Ware. How are you?
I'm doing great, Marla.
Good. I'm so happy to have you onto the show because, I mean, we have so many questions for you. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, we know that you're the broker owner of Sapphire Realty.
Yes, I am.
And so, tell us a little bit more.
Well, I am a transplant from California. I am a retired parole agent of 20 odd years for the California Department of Corrections. I have 2 daughters, twin girls, who are also real estate professionals in Sapphire Realty.
Awesome.
And I came out to Houston. I moved here in about 2006, but prior to that, I came out here in 2003 and started investing. And once the department retired me in 2005, I relocated here in 2006, and hence Chandra Ware. And I worked for who was my best friend, Andrea Cooksey. I worked for her for about 6 years until I started Sapphire. She and I sat under the hair dryer at our stylist, and I'm like, hey,
That's how it starts.
what's the name? Do you like this name? And we came up with several names, and then when I finally showed her Sapphire, where our clients are precious gems, she said, baby girl, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, that's good.
And I've been in existence for 11 years now.
All right.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Good deal.
So,
Good deal. So
Why did you select Houston? I'm curious, coming from California, why was Houston your choice?
One, I had always said once I retired from the department, I was going to relocate somewhere. But me purchasing the properties out here and the big man upstairs saying, not until you're 50, baby girl. When I say that, I could have retired at the age of 50, but injury caused me to retire 11 years sooner. So I purchased the properties out here, and I'm like, you know what? I might as well move here. And I had a little nudge by my big sister Andrea. She's like, come on, start your business out here. So, and it made sense because I had the properties, and we had already started a property management company. So, for me.
Now, Chandra, you're not a new transplant. You're not one of the new California transplants.
No, I've been here.
Let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
No, I've been here
they're
since
different breeds.
2006.
That's different. That's
Yes.
totally different. You're a
Yes.
Houstonian. For all intents and purposes, you're a Houstonian. We're claiming you just. You may not know, but we claim you as a
girl, but
Houstonian.
yes, I'll take Houstonian. Yes, I'll take Houstonian.
All right.
Now, as an Airbnb investor, though, I'm going to dive right in because I'm on the edge of my seat over here. How do you decide what area, what property to purchase? How do you make the decision as an Airbnb investor?
You know what, Kim? With me, mine is a little bit different than anyone. I'm not going to say than a few, because I own my properties.
Okay.
So I was able to go and decide which ones I wanted to
convert to Airbnb.
And so let's dive into that a little bit. So what you're saying is those people that provide an Airbnb service may not necessarily own the property that they're providing that service to.
Correct.
Okay.
You have sometimes you hear the word arbitrage. They're renting other people's properties to turn them into Airbnbs.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So what are some of the things that a person doing that would need to make sure is in place because they have a landlord?
For one, they need to make sure that they have the proper coverage. They need to make sure that they have insurance and adequate insurance to cover that property. I mean, yes, Airbnb does provide $1 million policy, but as a landlord or a tenant, you need to make sure that you have the proper coverage.
Look, I'm going to roll that back just a little bit because I've had people say, well, I know people who are doing this. I'm going to go rent like 5 properties and I'm going to Airbnb them. And they don't own it. They're renting it from the landlord. What are the legalities about that? Are they able to do that? You know, how do they even approach a land? They need to tell the landlord up front. hey,
really, they
I
need
plan
to ask
do this.
the landlord.
Or ask the landlord,
They need to
rather.
get permission from the landlord to utilize their property as an Airbnb, because now you're not using it as a resident, you're using it as a business.
Right.
And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, some of those landlords will say yes, but what we had listed for rent, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more, because now you've turned their residential property into
higher
an actual
risk.
business. It's a higher risk, and the landlord knows that they're going to be making
Money off of it. Yeah. Now, what happens if someone does that and they haven't asked the landlord?
They can be subject to eviction.
Eviction? Are there any? So, what if they're leasing the property and say the HOA doesn't allow it? Is the landlord on the hook for that
The landlord
violation,
is on the hook
or
for
is
that.
it the tenant?
If the landlord is on the hook for that, because if the bottom line is that that property belongs to that owner, that
Okay.
landlord.
So let me ask you a question. How do you, because you own all of your Airbnb properties,
Yes.
Airbnb properties, okay? How do you determine who you're going to cater to?
That's a good question. One, you have reviews on the Airbnbs and Verbo. Utilize those reviews. You must utilize those reviews. The reason I say that is because there was a young man who wanted to rent, as we want to say, reserve my property in California as an Airbnb. And I went and read his reviews. His reviews started off nice. People were saying very polite young man, he communicated very well, but they left the house dirty. They had a party, and they left marijuana residue in his house. So what I did, I politely got on the Airbnb app, messaged him, and said, I appreciate you wanting to reserve my home. However, some of your reviews are disturbing. I said, so if your plans are to hold a party and smoke marijuana, I suggest that you cancel your reservation.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I got a cancellation.
Well, at least he was honest.
He was
Yes.
honest.
At least he was honest.
Yes, he was honest.
Right.
So,
And so this Airbnb specifically that you're speaking to is in California. So you
Yes.
have staff up there that will clean it out and get it ready?
yes, I do.
Okay.
I have a young lady who cleans it for me,
Okay.
and then I have a young man who's my maintenance person.
Okay.
So how do you go about? Yeah, I was going to say, how do you find them?
And what is their do
because
they,
you're here.
I'm here.
Right.
For one, like I said, I am from Cali, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When it came to the cleaning, I went through. I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but I went through one cleaning company, and I went through 3 cleaning persons. Three personnel.
Okay.
And before you found
Yeah.
the person
Trial
that
and error.
worked for you.
And me doing the trial and error, I end up going back to a young lady, not going back to, but a young lady that I knew. And I'm like, hey, you're up there in Victorville. Do you need a little bit of extra money? She said, yes, ma'am. I said, I need for you to clean my homes. She says, no problem, Ms. Chandra. So she's been cleaning them now for the past 6 or 7 months.
Excellent. Do you have cameras on your property?
Yes,
where
I
you
do.
Could, there you.
Now
we're talking.
I am going to tell you about the cameras, because
Okay.
I just had one young lady who tried to reserve. Well, she wanted to reserve the Airbnb, and she said, "Well, I noticed that you have cameras." Yes, I do. Now, what Airbnb does, they allow you to have cameras, but you have to disclose it. And your cameras cannot be in the private areas,
Like the bathroom.
like the bathrooms and the bedrooms.
Got it.
And I
Okay.
have it noted in my description that there are cameras in the house. I have exterior cameras and I have one interior camera. The interior camera is in the kitchen, and then one interior camera is in the hallway.
Nice.
And that's just to capture the traffic coming inside the house.
That's it.
Because one thing I did do, when I first had the camera, I only had it focused at the front door, but I have another door that leads from the garage. Well, I need to know who's coming in and out of that garage. So I just posted one at the garage. And I'm not a mean person. Hey, you want your privacy? I appreciate you for listing my home or renting my home. And I tell them, hey, you can cover up the camera if you like.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Got it. You know what, Ms. Ware, I want you to sit right here because this is just too much information and we have a ton more questions.
Okay.
I am so enjoying this. You guys stay tuned. This is Lisa with Red Door Conversations, and we'll be right back. Hello. We are the Lisa White team with GBR Realty, and we would love to be your real estate team of choice when buying, selling, and/or investing in real estate. You ask yourself, why should you choose us? Here's why. Our team has a cumulative total of 55 years of experience. We have great market knowledge, and we are abreast of the new developments as they occur in our industry. And lastly, you're not just a number with us. When you choose us, you become family. We are there every step of the way, from the execution of the contract to inspections to negotiating repairs, all the way past the closing table. Purchasing a home will probably be the largest investment that you make in your life. You should not go at it alone. Trust the professionals at GBR Realty to assist you with all of your real estate needs.
Welcome back to Red Door Conversations, and today we are discussing the wildly popular option to Airbnb invest, and we're discussing that with our guest, Ms. Chandra Ware. Whew, you've already given us so much good information. My wheels are spinning, but one of the things that popped up was I really want to know how you go about keeping track of your bookings, because the volume, I'm sure, is increasing.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Actually, I use 2 apps right now. That's Vrbo and Airbnb.
Okay.
And the guests go to those apps or utilize those apps to make their reservations. Now, some of the apps some of the reservations you can approve or deny, and some of them, sometimes I have it set up where they can automatically just click and it's a reservation. But I manage all of my bookings through Vrbo and Airbnb.
Now, how do you decide to give someone instant option to reserve?
It just depends on how I feel. Like, you know, when it was slow, then I would let them book. But now that it's getting busy, I want to be really involved in screening who's going to reserve it, because I told you guys my background. I'm a retired parole agent, so I'm kind of skeptical of people, and I read between the lines. And there was one person that wanted to reserve, and he started asking a lot of personal questions, and I'm like, nah.
Personal how?
Like what?
Personal,
What was he asking? Yeah.
You've intrigued us.
First he would ask, first he would say, well, how far is the golfing? Me, I'm like, Google it. Use the address and Google it. Then he started saying, well, I see that you're athletic, and where do you like to work out? I told him, I said, excuse me.
No. Decline.
I said,
But how could he
excuse me.
see that you were athletic?
Because you have a picture of you on your profile.
Oh,
wow.
okay.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, he was doing too much.
Yeah,
That's a little
he was doing
scary.
extremely
Yes.
too much.
Oh my.
And Airbnb saw that. Because they can see the messages. That's one thing with Airbnb. All your communication is through their app. So
Their
any
portal,
texts that you do, they can see that. And they saw that. I told him, I said, hey, if you would like to reserve my place, please do so. But my personal life is none of your concern.
Absolutely.
And then I got a message from Airbnb saying that they had blocked him.
Wow.
Perfect.
Good for
Wow,
Airbnb.
that's
Yes.
good to know.
Yes.
That is good to know. Oh, you said something earlier. You said the clients or the people who booking, they have reviews as
Yes,
well?
They have reviews.
Okay.
They, because of, you can see a history of reviews for clients.
So
if they've been with Airbnb for a while, you can see their reviews. Just like with me, they can see my reviews of what other guests have given me. So I can look at their reviews and say, okay, this is a good fit, or this isn't a good fit. I mean, and I even go as far as looking at their pictures, their profile pictures.
That's good.
If they're profile pictures, and I don't want to stereotype, but I have to protect my property.
Well, as realtors, I don't know if y'all do this, but I look at people's Facebook pages. If you want to lease just a regular property, because that person is coming to
and
your
there was
property.
a young man that he was on his profile was him leaning against a car with a fan of money. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's not a good fit.
So let me ask you a question. This is probably what our viewers and listeners are wanting to know. What is a startup cost? What would you say are the startup costs to be able to do something like this?
That can be very expensive. but then again, it may not be. With me, I went through my personal home first.
Okay.
And started going through the, dishes, furniture, and things like that. And I took furniture that I had that I wasn't using anymore, and I put it in my Airbnb.
There you go.
I've had,
So you repurposed some things.
I repurposed some things.
Okay.
But
and so what would you say your startup costs were for your
my
first?
startup cost to furnish my home was probably about $4,000.
Okay.
Oh, that's not bad.
And so what type of fees do you incur on a monthly basis, quarterly or yearly, as it relates to, like you say, Airbnb, this portal or app that you are privy to, like they're able to see what's being communicated between potential guests and yourself? What fees are
now
included?
the fees, there's a percentage to Airbnb, a hosting fee, but then the other fees, just like any other home that you would rent, I still pay my utilities. I have my insurance, my utilities, my maintenance, and my lawn care.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Which, at the end of the day, this is a business, so it is a write-off.
Absolutely. Okay. And we love write-offs. don't
Yes, we do. I'm smiling. I'm like, okay, Marla, take this in.
Right.
So my question is this: because we all have real estate licenses. My question is this: from someone, because there's Airbnb is it's been around for a little while, but still pretty new concept to a lot of people. And so my question is, what would you say is a benefit, a pro, if you will, to having an Airbnb versus a traditional rental?
The benefit to me, and I would say to the community, is that you get continuous eyes on your property running an Airbnb.
Meaning what?
Because once the guest moves out, you're gonna have someone go into that property and inspect that property.
Oh, that's good.
So and with me, the minimum stay is 3 days. So that means if someone rents my house for 3 days, they go in on a Monday, they're coming out on a Thursday. I have eyes going in and I have eyes going out. And also when the upkeep, you're the one that's doing the upkeep. So the presentation of your home is a lot better. And I'm not gonna say for all tenants, but for a lot of tenants, your properties aren't maintained the way you would have maintained it.
Absolutely.
So with you running it as an Airbnb, you have that on-hand touch of making sure that your lawn is cut once a week, making sure that trash is not sat on the curb.
So you're saying the overall appearance.
Yes, the overall appearance.
And which I must say that is what some HOAs are concerned about, because they feel like the overall appearance is not going to be favorable with those Airbnbs. But what you're saying is that's actually the opposite.
That's actually the opposite.
Good.
That is actually the opposite. Yes.
And so what would you say are some, we've talked about the pros, what would you say are some cons?
It just depends on the type of owner you are. With me, I'm hands-on. So I drive out to Katy probably every time a guest moves out.
And I would too. Katy is not far.
No, it's not that far. Sometimes I clean it myself. Sometimes I hire someone. It just depends. But there's different pros and cons. But overall it's a business, and it's a lucrative business that. And Marlon knows me, generational wealth. That's something that you can pass on to your kids, to your family.
To those twins,
Yes.
huh?
Just another avenue.
Yes.
To
Another
generational wealth.
Yes.
Yes.
But before we let you go, I have to say this. I have to ask this question. I've stayed in some good Airbnbs, and I've stayed in some really impressive Airbnbs where they've, given the wireless codes and the extra coffee. And what would you say if I'm saying, I want to invest in an Airbnb? What should people do as a minimum, or what do you think people can do to make their Airbnb more successful? What's the touches?
I would say have your Airbnb set up as if you were living there. If you were living there.
Okay.
So you, what are some of the things what is a standard for you? What are you providing for your guests?
Right.
With me, of course, I provide free Wi-Fi.
Okay.
They have access to Netflix,
Okay.
Hulu, and what have you.
Nice.
I have board games there.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, just whatever. I have coffee pots. Sometimes I even leave goodies for my clients.
That's cute. I like that.
Mine's is called Lolly's Airbnb. So I leave a bowl of lollipops, sitting on the table.
Oh, I like
Got it.
I like
Okay.
it. All right.
Okay.
So Chandra, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at Lolly's Airbnb, LOLLY''S Airbnb, or you can contact me at 832-428-9790.
And I have a ton of other questions, but you know,
We don't have time.
that's it.
We don't have time. So what we're gonna do, guys, you're gonna catch us on the next go round.
We'll have to bring Chandra back.
Yes,
We
we'll
do.
have to bring
Yes,
her
this
back.
was exciting.
But thank you so very much. Good to have you
Thank
on
you
the
for
show.
having me.
This
And
was great.
guys, catch us next time. Red Door Conversations, Real Talk and Realty. Thank you so much and see you soon. Bye bye.